Good morning, friends. Welcome back. It's early. It is around 6 a.m. So, excuse my morning appearance. We listen and we don't judge. Yes. Today, I wanted to address something. And many times we often talk about how the mind, body, and soul are connected. So, when I say mind, I'm talking about mental health, the body, our physical health, sleep, nutrition, hydration, and then the soul, our spiritual health. Many times we neglect our souls because spirituality is such a sensitive, personal topic. And as a licensed professional counselor, I also specialize in biblical counseling. So this is my first video addressing the soul. And so don't tune out, but hear me out for a second. Many of us have been hurt by the church, and so talking about religion is a trigger, and I have been. I have been. I remember being engaged in my early 20s and going to a church, and I shared with my pastor. I pulled him aside after service to tell him that I was going through domestic violence. I was being emotionally abused and I was afraid that it was going to get physical because the signs were there. And instead of supporting me, I was shamed the following Sunday on the pulpit when he mentioned that he is so glad that his wife did not pretty much put their dirty laundry out. What goes on their house stays in their house. And so it was a passive aggressive way to tell me to keep my mouth shut. And so I didn't end up staying at that church for too long, but I learned early on that the church is not always a safe place. And so what I propose is not religion, but a personal walk with God. And what does that look like? Well, how can you know anyone without studying them? So, like, let's say my library here, one of my favorite books, Become We All Love Some Michelle Obama, right? Yes. Um, if I was just to get excerpts here and there, I would not know the heart of the author. And that's what we do with the Bible. A lot of churches do the Bible. They don't read the Bible through. Pastors who will sometimes just pick verses here and there. And this is why a lot of times scripture is taken out of context and there is spiritual abuse. I mean, misogyny, domestic violence, it's enslavement of Africans have been supported by the early church. Why? Because of biblical illiteracy, right? There's a reason why enslaved Africans weren't allowed to read and write. Think about it. And so many of us don't even want to touch the Bible because of the stigma. The Jesus of this Bible is not what you imagine, right? We imagine what we see in media. I believe that Jesus that walked on this earth would get stuck in airport security because he probably looked like a Middle Eastern person, okay? I mean, he's from the Middle East. I don't know. Anyway, but that's another video. Okay. What I want to challenge you to do is to read the Bible from front to back. And if you accept a challenge, comment, challenge accepted. All right, challenge accepted. That way, you know for yourself. You don't have to even agree with it. I'm not asking you to agree. I'm not asking you to believe. I'm just asking you to read it. Or you can even listen to it. Because I do have an app, the Bible app, where I just listen to the Bible because listen, I got two active boys. I'm on the go. So when I'm doing my walks, it just makes it easier for me. And so I will link that app to the description. And so let me know again in the comments if you're going to accept the challenge. All right. You may be surprised. Now, the first 5 books, disclaimer, is not easy to get through. Okay. So those are the book of the law. I would start with the New Testament. Okay. New Testament, the Gospels, go all the way through that, and then go into the Old Testament. Okay. I'm just saying that's how I start. But do you? And let me know how it goes. I would say maybe 10% of my clients that request biblical counseling in addition to clinical counseling. And, I would say that when we address our soul, it really unlocks a level of wholeness that we haven't tapped into. And now I'm not saying perfection because perfection, as I always say in my videos, don't live here. Okay. And so if this video challenge you in any way, supporting you in any way, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And yeah, I just want you to know that if you have been hurt by the church, experienced spiritual abuse, you're not alone. I know so many that have went through childhood trauma because they grew up in cults. Okay, it's real. It is real. So I don't blame you if you're a little bit hesitant, like, I don't know if I want to touch the Bible because so many of my trauma have been associated with that book. I get it. So maybe journal about it. But all I'm asking is for you to consider it. And so I'm going to wrap it up. I thank you for watching to the end. That really supports me.